What is it about Cube World that drives people so crazy? I mean, games go viral all the time, right? But usually they're just a fart in the wind and pass by after a month or two to make room for the next fad. But Cube World is different. I'm discovering that people still care about it. Whether it's been gently resting in the back of a person's mind ready to be triggered by nostalgia, or somebody is seeing it for the first time, it's clear that in spite of the apparent death of the game and the fact that it's currently impossible to buy for those who never got a chance, Cube World manages to remain relevant. But why? What makes Cube World so different, so special? Why is it that people are still enamored with this game years after its apparent demise? I decided to sit down and try to figure out what makes Cube World so good, so addicting, and still so popular after 4 years without any updates to the game. I was able to narrow it down to a few reasons why I believe it's been able to last so long in spite of itself, and why people are still chomping at the bit for any updates and are so excited for its future. So let's dig into Cube World and try and figure out what makes it so magical. One would expect that, when seeing Cube World and its voxels, that it's a game similar to the likes of Minecraft or Terraria. But at its heart, Cube World is an action RPG without any building mechanics whatsoever. There's a little bit of crafting, but it's pretty simple and rudimentary as far as crafting systems go, and that simplicity is a common theme among the game's various mechanics. Simplicity has almost become a dirty word in today's gaming market, with the word complexity taking its place in a variety of scenarios. And when it comes to RPGs, complexity tends to sit at the front of the line when it comes to descriptive words. Different stats to manage, different damage types and resistances to worry about, 50 different skills and abilities all with their own clever and niche uses that you'll probably never fully explore, intricate crafting systems that require a mastery of different skills among your party management, strategic placement, etc., etc., etc. The list goes on, and it's not uncommon for RPGs to employ all of these mechanics and more. Action RPGs, on the other hand, tend to be a bit simpler given the less strategic nature of them compared to their turn-based or paused-based brethren. But that doesn't stop them from trying to be unduly complicated in many different ways, but not Cube World. Cube World tries to keep it relatively simple. Sure, you've got an inventory system with gear to juggle, but with only a couple of different stats to worry about, selecting the piece you want to wear is easy. The power rating of any piece determines, for the most part, which piece of gear is stronger and more worth your time. Magical or enchanted pieces of gear change this up a little bit, but not so significantly that you're not sure what to wear at any given moment. There's only a few stats to worry about, so it never gets overwhelming either. The simplicity is in every single system that this game has to offer. Crafting is straightforward. Find or buy recipes, collect the materials as you adventure, and put them together at a bench. The questing is apparent. Look on the map for a sword icon, travel to it, and fight through the dungeon or area to eventually defeat the boss. The skill system is easy to understand. Choose one of 2 specializations, put points into skills as you level up, and figure out which ones are important to you in the moment. And finally, the combat and exploration. This is where Cube World truly shines. With only 2 attacks and 3 abilities, you'd think that the combat would be boring or too easy. But that's not the case. You're constantly attacking, which fills your blue bar, which powers up your right-click attack, which does a lot of damage with a high chance to stun the enemy. That's it. That's the core combat loop. But while you're doing that, you're always repositioning yourself to manage the ranged enemies, dodging attacks to minimize the damage you take, rotating your cooldowns for more stuns and damage, and making sure you stun the right enemies at the right time, and chugging potions when things get too hairy. The core loop is very strong, and everything else surrounding it makes it just interesting enough to keep you engaged. This combat is what enables you to get more experience and stronger loot, which allows you to take on more and stronger enemies, venture further out into the world, and explore faster so you can fight more. The upgrades tend to be significant, but not so much that it makes what was just challenging completely trivial either. This method of progression makes me think back to one of my own personal weaknesses, Incremental games. You're powering up just enough every time you do something that the adventure becomes mildly addicting, and it's simple enough that it's easy to focus on other things like a podcast or a Let's Play as you explore the world in your quest for power. And if that wasn't enough, the ability to do all of this with your friends just makes it that much better. Now, that's not to say that there's not room for improved complexity or improved depth in all of these mechanics, but with the way that it works, I believe that it can be done in a way that doesn't sacrifice the simplicity that makes the game so easy to get into and so addicting to keep going. A game's first impression needs to be strong if it wants to survive. Gameplay rules and always will, but with so many games on the marketplace and our limited amount of time to spend playing them, the game must be aesthetically captivating to attract a significant audience. Look at any game that's gone viral in the past few years and you'll start to notice a bit of a pattern. Hello Neighbor, Slime Rancher, Minecraft, Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, Scrap Mechanic, they all either look incredible or look very unique. Hello Neighbor has a very interesting Pixar-esque art style that's intriguing. Slime Rancher is probably the most adorable thing that's ever been released on this planet. Minecraft's unique blocky aesthetic feels simple and invokes the nostalgia of creating things with Legos. A strong first impression is vital, and a great aesthetic makes it easy for somebody to want to learn more about the game. So they click on its link on the storefront, they look up videos, they ask questions, and all of this inevitably helps boost the game's popularity, which can make it look even more attractive. Cube World is no different. It brings the simplicity that I mentioned earlier even to the art style, with fun, high-contrast colors and building blocks that bring pixel art into the third dimension. There's something that's just inherently attractive about voxels. The simplicity is downright charming, that's for sure, but I think what it boils down to is about the way we perceive a world that's built by these voxels. A universe built by voxels is easy to comprehend. It's easily quantifiable in a way that our own world isn't, and it fuels our creative mind by giving us the impression that if we wanted to, we could build Cube World ourselves. I don't mean the game and the software and the code, but its world. You can glue together a bunch of little cubes and create a replica of the plateau where you killed your first boss, or a model of your character and your friends' characters. It doesn't just feel like a virtual world, it feels like it could be an extension of our own world, because the building blocks are something that we can easily comprehend and replicate ourselves. Even the way creatures die in this world is a part of that. They simply fall apart into a pile of their constituent blocks. Past that, the game is just adorable. All of these little people and animals are just cute. Look at my rogue. He's a little skeleton with a blonde tuft of hair at the front. And he has a pet pig, and he has a pet bat, and... oh, did I not even mention that you can have pets? You can tame the animals of this world and level them up as your pets, almost like Pokemon. It's definitely another aspect of Cube World that gets you invested, having these adorable little animals wandering around with you. Heck, you can even ride them to help you explore the world. Just you and your little companion wandering the wide, untamed expanse that is Cube World, not knowing what you'll find next or where you'll end up. It's a journey. Also, the combat looks pretty good too. You can roll around, you can do a crazy backflip and throw ninja stars at everybody in front of you. And overall, it's just a really good time and super fun to look at. When I say scarce, I don't mean, hey, what's up,
guys,
scarce
it's
here. I mean the actual dictionary definition of scarce. Insufficient for the demand. And this is especially true for Cube World. It's no secret that Cube World went viral. The game became hugely popular in a relatively short amount of time, much to the surprise of Wolfram von Funk, also known as Wale on Twitter and social media, and was probably pretty overwhelming. I mean, imagine this. One day you wake up and you're the most famous person in your country. It sounds great, right? Surely that fame comes with a lot of money, but it also comes with a lot of attention. Nobody knew who you were yesterday, but now you're completely inundated with people asking for questions and updates and adoration and hatred all at once. People worship the ground you stand on, and others toss various horrible threats at you at the same time. it would be absolutely overwhelming. That's the kind of fame that takes years to build up, and every step of the way you're adapting yourself to the way people act towards you and around you, but having it all thrust upon you at once would be incredibly hard to deal with. Something very similar happened to the man who created Flappy Bird, where the fame broke him down and he outright removed the app from the store. So before too long, Wole stopped updating the game and only gave us a drip feed of news through his Twitter and some occasional videos. Probably so he could process everything and then just work on the game in peace and quiet without having to be bombarded by the internet's attention. I think that this, in part, is what made Cube World stay on people's minds for so long. They loved the game from the beginning, saw a couple of updates, and then got nothing. No updates in spite of the game being in alpha, no news from Wole himself. The game had so much potential and then nothing. People naturally want what they can't have, but this idea can extend beyond what exists and is unavailable and go towards romanticizing the ideal of what one believes something could or should be. Games, jobs, relationships, everything is susceptible to this. It's easy to become addicted to the idea of something, and I think that's partially what happened here. But that's not the end of it. More unconventional things happened. First, the store closed, meaning that everybody who hadn't bought the game yet would be unable to play. And the game was pronounced dead shortly after, with the internet having thought that Wole abandoned the game. After over a year of silence, however, he came back with news. A slow, steady drip feed of what's to come can be seen on his Twitter, with a bunch of the comments either asking desperately for a release date or condemning the lack of updates. It's no wonder he doesn't bother with much of the social media anymore. The teases that are shared through Twitter and the long wait period in between each bit of news keeps people on the edge of their seat and keeps the game relevant in their minds. People are hungry for more Cube World, and the moment the store opens up again, I can almost guarantee that tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people will ravenously flood the website, eager to download the newest update and get their fix. Wole has attracted a lot of hate over the past few years over this game, being called lazy or a con artist or greedy or whatever else. People wondering why he doesn't just hire people to help him finish the game quicker, because with the amount of sales he got early on, he could obviously afford it. But remember, this game is being made by just Wole and his wife, and is being made to their vision with their talents. It's their implementation and their art and their world and their design that we all fell in love with 4 years ago, not some random artist or programmer that they hired to help get it done quicker. We don't want something rushed or half-assed for the sake of being able to play it now. I'll even argue that if Wole was consistently updating the game download with new features, we'd have gotten bored of it by now and wouldn't pay attention to each new update. So what if we have to wait 4 years or 5 years or even 7 years for it to be done? It'll be done when Wole is satisfied with it and adheres to the vision that he and his wife have. It's a true indie success story, and to quote myself from my previous video on this game, there's just something really magical about that. So, let's be patient. It'll probably still be a while yet before we can play anything, but if we fell in love with their vision once, I'm confident that it'll happen again. It's fun to look at the updates though, so we can get a taste of all the depth and polish that is being added to this game that we're all waiting for. So go take a look at his Twitter timeline. You can find a link in the description below. And while you're there, why not tweet him something nice, like, "Hey, thanks for creating Cube World." And thank you all for watching. And special thanks to my patrons Mig and Aeldis for supporting my work here on YouTube. If you missed my previous video about Cube World, you can check it out by clicking on one of these cards over here. It's a bit less structured than this one, but no less nostalgic. And be sure to hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video, thumbs down if you didn't, and hit that subscribe button for more awesome gaming content here in the future, and I will see you next time.